flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Approval of minutes from last meeting.
Second.
All right. Any comments, questions?
Nope, that's good.
Okay.
Well done.
All those in favor of approving?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Great. No public participation, so we are going to move things around on the agenda and go straight to the Weston and Sampson Outdoor Facility Master Plan.
Okay, thank you. So with us tonight is Lauren, I'm going to Shunk? Say it correct? All right, good. From Weston Sampson, who worked on the plan with us, and she's going to do the presentation of our outdoor facilities master plan. It is complete now, and we've had, it's been a good, long process, and we're ready to move forward with it. It's got some great recommendations in there, and so without any further delay, Lauren, if you would be so nice as to start the presentation.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody. So as Brendan said, we've been working on this OFMP for about a year now, and I'm super excited to share it with you folks. So tonight, we have a lot to cover, so I'm going to move through at a pretty quick, high level, if that's okay, because I want to make sure that there's time for any questions and we can kind of dig in more at the end if needed. So I'm going to talk about project team, project timeline, goals of the OFMP, then we'll get into table of contents and the overall report framework. The next three sections get into the meat of the plan, and then, again, questions and comments at the end. So project team, we've been working very closely with Brendan and Kelly, a couple of other Weston and Sampson folks, aside from myself, Cassie Bethany, Lindsay Abbott, Megan Gutnecht, all played a big role in the plan of Weston and Sampson. Project timeline, we kicked off November 2023, submitted a final plan in December, and here we are today, January 2025. Also wanted to touch on, so earlier in the OFMP process, we looked at Simon's Playground and overlooked developed concepts for these specifically and held a public engagement that was more focused on those sites, and that the findings from those have also been rolled into like the overall recreation of the town of Burlington. So goals of the OFMP, one, completing an inventory and analysis of the existing parks and recreation outdoor facilities, complete a comprehensive public outreach and needs assessment, to identify a plan for improving the facilities, and to create a strategic roadmap that helps guide future investment and implementation. So this is the table of contents. The main sections are the existing conditions, what we heard, which is our public engagement part, and the strategic recommendations, which are actionable, implementable, and come out of the existing conditions analysis that we did, as well as the what we heard, this public engagement piece. And that's illustrated here too. Those pieces go into what we determined as community needs, and then ultimately those drive what our strategic recommendations are. So as part of the existing conditions, we looked at demographic trends and how these could potentially impact recreational needs. So for example, in Burlington and a lot of places in greater Boston, there's an increase in people over ages 60. So it could potentially be desirable to focus on ADA accessible open spaces and walking paths. Also, as part of the existing conditions, we visited 17 sites, 3 of which are school properties, and did a comprehensive analysis which involved looking at things like physical infrastructure, environmental constraints, other contextual pieces. And from this, we determined 11 kind of key themes. So for example, one opportunity that came up across nearly all of the sites was the opportunity to provide or upgrade accessible pathways between different amenities at the park's site. As part of the existing conditions, we also looked at the National Recreation and Parks Association data. So they, every year, collect information about parks and recreation from municipalities across the US. So we did an inventory of Burlington's facilities and compared that to similar sized municipalities to see, like, as a way of where does it fall when you compare it. And we found that almost across the board, Burlington either met or exceeded similar sized municipalities in every category. The only one was the swimming pool, where Burlington doesn't have a swimming pool, but most municipalities did have a public swimming pool. So again, that was just another piece of the existing conditions. We also kind of noted in the report that it's an interesting and like a good way to benchmark, but the unique conditions of Burlington are really like, you have to contextualize it within that. And so we do go into a bit more detail about that on the plan as well. Permitting data. So as part of our existing conditions, we looked at 6 years of data to see if there were any trends that could help guide where like recreational investment could be directed. So for example, we found that there is an increase in participation in soccer, lacrosse, cricket, which came up many times, both in the online surveys and at public engagement events. Football and flag football, tennis and pickleball, also really popular. We were also able to use this data to bore down into which specific fields and parks have the most usage as well. And all of this is also included in the appendices section of the report, as well as the other detailed existing conditions and the what we heard sections. So moving into what we heard in December 2023, we tabled at the tree lighting event. And this event, we focused on Simons and Overlook Park and gathered input on what folks wanted to see at these locations. So this graphic shows the most popular amenities or what people would most like to see. We found that water play, such as splash pads, was something that people were really interested in. It was also something that we saw kind of throughout the public engagement process. Sledding hill with a lift was also pretty popular. And active play for teens or ages 13 plus was also something that came up on several occasions. We also held a stakeholder engagement event April 30th of last year at Grand View Farm. So at this event, we asked folks to give their feedback on a draft of the 3 goals and the strategic recommendations. This is an example of one of the voting cards. We had a voting card for each one of the goals, and it detailed the themes and the action items within the goals, and folks were asked whether they strongly agreed, strongly disagree, to strongly agree, a scale of 1 to 5, followed by discussion groups. And we took this information and revised our strategic recommendations for the final draft. And then this graphic calls out some of the key things that we've heard at the event. Cricket fields came up. We had a discussion about how there's an increase in cricket population. Splash pad and water play came up again. Diversification of the playgrounds. There was a lot of interest in upgrading the playgrounds and like diversifying the equipment. Programs for teens. And then we also had some conversations about optimizing the field availability. And then the last piece of the what we heard section is the online surveys. We conducted 2 online surveys. The first one was focused on Overlook Park and Simons Park, more at the inception of the project. And then the second one was a town-wide recreational amenities survey that covered broader questions about usage and desired improvements for the existing parks in Burlington, as well as desired recreational amenities. And so survey 1, very consistent with what we heard at the in-person event. So water play, very desirable. Active play for ages 5 to 12, and then play for teenagers. And then looking at Overlook Park, again, the playground was really important to folks. The sledding hill, and then expanded trails in connection to the existing trail network. And these next couple of slides show the graphics with online survey number 2. The green represents, so there were a series of questions on existing facilities and how respondents use the existing system in Burlington. The boxes in blue are more of the wish list or what people want to see more of. So for example, people said accessible restrooms under inclusivity, accessible playground features, and then opportunities for water play, again, was something that came up. Biking paths, winter sports, walking and jogging were really good. Also in the second survey, we asked some questions about demographics, so that's what's shown here. And then there was also a question about the most frequented recreational facilities and what folks wanted to see most at these specific sites. So now moving into the strategic recommendation section. So it's the first part of it is organized into 3 goals. So we took everything from that existing conditions analysis and that public engagement piece and translated it into 3 overarching goals for Burlington. So the first goal is to include existing outdoor recreational opportunities. Under these goals, we've identified specific themes. So for example, theme 1 is improve existing playgrounds. And then within the text underneath each theme goes through like the supporting like evidence, if you will, of how we got to that theme. So examples are like what we saw on site, feedback from the online surveys, and feedback from the in-person events that we held and how they drove that theme. So goal 2, similarly, it's expand outdoor recreational facilities. Goal 3, provide equitable access to outdoor recreational opportunities. And then into specific, actionable, site-specific items. So, 1, the first theme, improve existing outdoor recreational opportunities, and the theme of upgrading playgrounds. So it gives the specific strategy in the left, identifies the priority locations for implementing this strategy, and then gives any design considerations and or resources. So like, for example, where applicable, there's things like field sizes or like the amount of space that would be needed to design a specific field in that location. is the maintenance projects. So there's a list of smaller specific projects that don't require capital funding. It gives the location of the project, which theme it's related to, and then short-term, medium-term, or long-term priority. And then lastly, there's a funding opportunities table at the end that serves as a reference. So it gives funding sources and then offers a description and a link to the funding. And that's it.
Great, thank you.
So-
Hey, sorry, Brendan.
I was just going to say thank you, Lauren. So obviously, this was a snapshot of the larger report that everyone has received that is out on our website. So if there are specific questions, there's larger lists that are associated with all of the goals and everything. So for time's sake, to include everything in there. But if there is something that you had seen and you had questions on, I think this is a great time for Lauren to be able to answer.
I have more of a comment.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I have more comments than I think questions. Lauren, it's a great report, well-written. I reviewed it a couple of months ago, and I reviewed it again in preparation for tonight. And poor Kelly, all those recommendations for sources, she's going to be awfully busy looking up funding sources. Did you see them all?
Sure did.
Yeah.
Already got one.
I think the primary, I know you did. I think the primary source is going to be town meeting. And as I was reading through this, I was thinking that, if we're a little bit more aggressive, we can present more warrant articles going forward. I don't know if we're going to do it this year, but with this report, it's going to help us a lot, I think, to get warrant article funding for these projects. Because we want to keep up, and I think every year we try to tackle one or two projects. Because it's a matter of affordability and priority in different, with the different towns' needs. But this, I think this is going to help us tremendously to advocate for more funding to get more projects done so we don't fall behind. So it's a great tool for us, and I think you did a nice job putting it all together. And I just wanted to thank you and your team for doing all of this hard work.
Thank you. It's really exciting, and it's exciting to see over the
Yeah. We have a lot of good things going on. We're already tackling some of the things that are in the report. But I think that, and I sent a late email to Brendan, and I know we've been talking a lot about fencing and benches and things like that, and I was thinking maybe we ought to bump it up to 75 instead of 50. It looks like just about every single park in this report, that's one of the recommendations. It's kind of a recurring theme. So, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner,
Madam Chair, so I would just go on what Steve said, just a comment. Being on the board for a while, we, with Kelly and Brendan and the team, and with the commissioners, we've been going, working with you guys, and you guys have pretty much nailed everything that we're trying to implement going forward. Of course, the big issue is funding.
Yeah.
To get all this stuff through. I think we've talked as a board, come up with a plan in the last couple of years to hopefully tackle this. It's the community wants it. Recreation's huge, but it all comes down to money. But you came up with a great plan for us. We'll be using this for the next 10 years.
10 years.
So I really appreciate all the effort that you guys put into this, and then, we will use this plan going forward to really tackle all the issues that we have in Burlington as far as our parks and recreation. But we've hit the ball running already, but we still have a lot of work to do. But thank you very much. That's all, Madam Chair.
Yeah, Lauren, thank you so much. It's been, obviously, this is very comprehensive, and we really appreciate everything. I think once we look at this, and we will need to meld this with the, the fields and everything, with the school department, and how we'll kind of stagger, each large projects and everything. So I know Commissioner Brooks and I have been trying to figure out how we can do that together. And obviously finding funding through town meeting, even, looking at, private partnerships or whatever we might be able to do with the planning board, if they can, kind of help us out with that too. I think there's a lot of opportunity in what we can do with the town in order to improve our parks and recreation and everything. So appreciate you building this, and obviously, we have a 10-year plan, and I'm sure a lot of this was put into that 10-year plan and everything. So we're very excited about what this means for the future. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you for coming out and presenting to the commission tonight. And, I know we're going to continue working with Weston and Sampson on our renovation of Overlook Park, so I'm sure we'll be speaking again some more. So thank you very much.
Yeah, well, thank you all.
Yep.
This was a really awesome to work on, and yeah, super excited to be able to help out.
Yeah?
Oh, I have one more question through the chair.
Yes.
Looking at the report, are there any plans to put a zip line at Overlook Park? It looks like there's a lot of, excitement about the possibility of a zip line.
Zip line, yeah.
For the older teenagers,
Well, that'll be part of our discussion as we finalize that plan and what goes in there and any kind of playground equipment. We have budgets for certain things and, a budget for the playground equipment and the surfacing and all that. So I'm sure it'll come up. If it's not there, it could be at Simon's in the future. So,
Maybe we do too. The topography is great at Overlook for a zip line.
yes.
Are you thinking for the teenagers or the big kids?
Too old for that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. Just don't forget this stick there, so.
Okay, we're ready for, we're going to move up into the director's report, Brendan?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes. Just quick update, maintenance, over the long weekend, we got our first, second snowstorm of the year. They worked on, they got called in the plow, working on streets and parking lots before, or they worked on the streets before moving into some of the parking lots, and then the next week after the storm last week, they were working, cleaning out all of our parking lots, doing walkways in some of the parks. Obviously, the priority first is streets. They plow under the DPW, under supervision of DPW. And they've been continuing to remove the holiday decorations around the common. We recently purchased a new trailer for our Toro 6040 ball field machine, or groomer, that we just got this fall. The new trailer has less of a pitch, so what we're finding is the drop off, the pitch on the trailer that we had was just too much, and you don't want to scrape the back of the new machine and send everything out of whack. So we did get a new trailer for that, and the other one is used for some of our mowers as well. So it was going to be used. It was our old ball field machine trailer and will be used for other items. And then we're going to be replacing a field lining machine this spring, and we continue to look at the automated machines, the automated robot paint machines that you just put out there, and with GPS it does a field for you. But we are working on a demo of the software so that our staff can familiarize themselves. It's not something we want to just hand them this machine and a tablet and say, go to work, make it work. So they need to have some time to familiarize themselves with that information. Civic Expo, some of you were there on Wednesday, January 15th, up in the high school cafeteria this year. Change in venue, just from the Murray Kelly Room, gave a little more room for people to talk and congregate around tables. Well attended, and I'd just like to thank the commission and Assistant Director Kelly Lehman for being present and at the event, and our staff for the support they provided for the event. So that's it for my my report. I didn't know if you wanted to move to the budget. I know
Yeah.
Commissioner Nelson has a couple things.
Yes, sir, thank you. I wanted to move over to the budget. And we've already reviewed the budget, so I will let
Yeah, I
Commissioner
just have a
Nelson.
couple of quick questions since I wasn't here at the last meeting due to a conflict. Thank you. Right now, it's at 3%, Brendan. Do we have a guideline yet?
Guidelines total 3.5 to 4.5-ish. I don't really think there was an official guideline still given at our last meeting, but I know that's what they're aiming for.
No.
You know, anticipated contract, you know, we'd probably be in the 4.5 to 5 range there.
Is this, though, Brendan, consistent with the other departments? They know that they're going to have some additional expenditures when we settle the contract, so they're coming in the 3.5% range?
Yeah, they're probably coming in under 3, around 3. You know, part of ours is that we have a large, you know, we have 15 staff besides Kelly and myself. And so that's 15 salaries that when the union contract settles,
Yeah, it's contractual, yeah.
you know, but we're also a service-oriented department, so our cost for materials and supplies goes up. So we really, we make decisions on what we can actually increase or not. And they're not always easy. Our part-time staff had to increase. Our therapeutic recreation programming, we're getting more and more requests for support services, and we were by the, I don't want to, I guess, you know, understaffed really last year. We did a lot of creative maneuvering in order to allow us to fill all those requests for support in our therapeutic recreation programming. Not only in the summer, all summer, but throughout the year. So we had to increase there, and you know, occupancy was a small increase just based on what we heard from the budget analysts, how much they wanted to increase. And then we had contracted services. We have Bamboo HR software, we have our RecTrack software, and we really foot the majority of the bill. So we're trying to get to a more equitable split in costs there. So we did increase the town share for those software programs. So we are paying 65% and the town is paying 35%. So there was some increase there.
No, I think it's
those are-
reasonable. I mean, anytime you have a budget that's at 3%, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
And particularly when you factor in that we do need a few additional staff members, it sounds like. I know Ways and Means always says, you know, try to level fund your staffing.
Yeah.
Or explain any increases, and you just did that. Over the years, I know you've put together a narrative summary of what's going on in the budget. I don't know if
Yep.
you've had time to do that yet, but that's always helpful.
I do have that, and we'll share it with you as well.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner Norton, do you have any other
I have no
questions?
questions. I think you guys have done a good job with it, knowing, you know, that our contracted services are gonna go up, and you guys have stayed within the budget. And you guys have stayed within the budget since I've been on, you know. And, I think you guys do a good job considering how we've expanded the recreation, our departments, our therapeutic departments. We put a lot of money into our fields, so I think we're, on our end, we're keeping our promises. Hopefully, you know, we don't get beat up in the process through town meeting. But I think you've done a good, I like the budget where it's at so far.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've talked about the budget, we've asked and, you know, answered a bunch of questions last time we met. You know, I guess the biggest concern is always we're growing so quickly and making sure that we can actually afford the growth, and that the town is actually providing us the budget we need for that growth. But, you know, I think this is, you know, obviously, this will be sustainable for another year.
Hopefully.
Madam
So,
Chair, I'd like to make a motion at this point in time that the commission vote to approve an FY 2026 budget in the total amount of $2,309,700. $1,089, which represents a 3% increase over last year's budget.
So moved. Second?
All right, any other questions or comments?
No,
on the
I think
motions?
it all looks good.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's passed. Do you want to go through the articles, or are you going
Are
to?
there any on the warrant article?
Yeah, I have a couple quick ones.
Sorry, 2 warrant articles.
So, and then we do have one request to expend money out of the revolving. So I will, I'm going to start with the first one, the athletic field improvement warrant article, which was approved last year at town meeting, and that was a article submitted by the Select Board at the request of the Recreation Commission. It was in the amount of $200,000. I'd like to move forward with that request again this year. We've done some good things with the money through the fall, summer and fall. We did backstops on a number of fields, player benches. We'll be renovating the softball field at Center School now that we have new backstop and fence, player benches that are going in. We've been able to fully fund the fertilization and seeding program for the fields, and we'd like to top dress 2 of the fields as well next year. So we are making good progress, and the funds definitely come in hand to make sure we can do everything that we need to do to improve our playing fields.
Madam Chair, I move that the commission vote to approve the submission of a warrant article in the amount of $200,000 for various field improvements throughout the town.
Second.
Any questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next item, so through the completion of our outdoor facility master plan and along with the request from the school department and residents, we have identified a number of fences, walkways, trees that are in need of repair, renovation, replacement, removal, whatever it is within our parks, playgrounds, school and municipal properties. We don't have the ability to do the majority of those in our operating budget. So we'd like to present an article at Maytown meeting, similar to the athletic field warrant article, or improvement article that you just approved going forward with again this year, to fund these needed repairs and renovations. The funding would be used to make necessary repairs as we deem fit throughout the year, including some of the items that are in our outdoor facility master plan. So I am requesting the commission vote to support the fences, walkways, and tree warrant article in the amount of $50,000 for FY '26.
Okay, Madam Chair, I move that the commission vote to approve the submission, excuse me, of a warrant article in the amount of $50,000 for the repair, replacement of fences and walkways and tree removal and maintenance.
Second.
All right, any questions?
Just a quick
Yeah.
comment, Madam Chair. So I would just like to say to anyone listening, or so we just had a master plan brought to us, and so we go forward, $50,000, and, we had, out of all our parks, 20 parks, all of them need, walkways redone. So this is a great article for us to go forward, to fund all the stuff that's in our master plan going forward. And if we can get this hopefully approved year after year to tackle things that are very important as far as getting, people with disabilities in our parks. These are big things, fences, that, and if we can get this warrant article to be a yearly thing, and hopefully the warrant article, the athletic field improvements, I think it's huge and it's just, it's something that hopefully will be every year, like they try to do in the school systems. If we can get that through the recreation department, I think it's a great idea. So I'm in full favor of this warrant article.
Yeah, Commissioner, I agree. It allows us to be more proactive as
Yes.
far as, the fencing. There's always somebody asking about a fence that might need a little bit of repair. So, obviously, I'm fully in support of this, since it is a more proactive nature. As you said, when trees fall down, you need money to repair a tree. We all know how, how expensive it is to take a tree down. So, I think this is great just to have that extra money to be able to do those types of improvements instead of having to wait for, a budget increase or anything like that. So very excited about that. Any other?
No, I'm all set.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Brendan, what happened with the Rahanis improvements? Isn't that supposed to be an article?
The basketball court?
Yes.
At Rohannes? It was. These were two that came up after.
Oh, after, okay.
Yes,
I
yes.
apologize.
So we have been having conversations with administration, and these came up after.
Okay.
My last one that we just need Commissioner Nelson to vote on. So the Municipal Special Event Summit, so as you're aware, we offer some really amazing special events for our residents throughout the year, and upwards of 30, and they're funded through sponsors and donations. So the events are a point of pride, I believe, in Burlington for our residents, and our staff are always looking for new and innovative ideas to add. The Municipal Special Event Summit is the definitive conference for government event professionals and industry planners, coming together to share best practices and set new standards in event management. I believe this is a worthy conference to send a representative to, especially since we've had such positive feedback on our special events, and we're always looking to add more. So this year's conference is scheduled for February 16th through 19th in Savannah, Georgia. The cost to attend the conference, including registration, hotel, flight, and food, would not be more than $2,500. I would like to request the commission vote to send Assistant Director Kelly Lehman to the conference and expend the funds from the revolving account.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Did they get any snow in Savannah, Kelly?
They did have snow the other day, actually.
Hopefully that'll be gone in a couple weeks.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I do have a commitment, so I do have to leave early.
Yes, sir.
tonight. I apologize.
Okay.
Is this something, I should have asked this during comments, but real quick, Kelly.
Yeah.
Is this something that like Emma could go to too, in future reference, or is that just one person's good?
I think one person now, especially, it's not therapeutic recreation.
A little bit of components in there.
Yeah, it's more of, event planning, safety, setup, planning events, but also idea sharing with other professionals across the industry. So I think it's, this is the first I had heard of it, and I think it's a great opportunity, right? What can we do next, right? What's our next big event? And, getting someone there that can network with people and, what worked, how did you get this going, and build those relationships, I think is a great opportunity for us, because our special events are really good.
Yeah, well, it's better to be proactive on everything that's going on in the world, especially for recreation and new ideas. Everything's changing. How people, after schools and all that, how everything's changing worldwide, especially. So any way we can learn stuff is always awesome.
Yep.
Kelly, you're a good grasper of that information. So that's good.
Love that.
Have fun, and I hope it goes well.
All right. Thank you. I guess we can loop back up. Kelly, do you have a report today?
I just have a couple quick things. I wanted to make sure I kept it short. As you may have seen, the department released its annual year in review to the public. It's a great source of pride for us to be able to put all of those numbers together in a snapshot for the community to be able to see all the hard work that our team has accomplished over the year. I'd like to thank Emma for putting the document together. Once again, this year, she does a great job. She's got a great graphic design eye. So it was a team effort this year. Everybody kind of pulled numbers, and she kind of rallied all the troops together to play a part in this year's year in review. So we're excited to see that as well. The second piece of information that we bring today is we've finalized a contract with Weston and Sampson, as Brendan alluded to earlier, for the Overlook Park project, for the final design of that. So we are starting work on that this week as well. So we've kickoff meeting with them just to kind of talk about the final design and have a site visit so they can kind of look over the property again and just see where things lie. And hopefully we'll have something by the summer. By the summer,
We're going
hopefully.
to push for it.
Yep.
Yes.
So we'll see how that goes. The ski program had started first week in January. It seems to be going really well. We've had some really great feedback from families and kids who have been able to take part in the weekly trips. We go on Tuesdays and Fridays. Tuesdays is Neshoba, Fridays is Wachusett. And we have 200 or so kids in our programs this year, which is amazing. And lastly, because it's cold out, our staff is starting to plan spring programs. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And we are hoping that the spring brochure will be out the mid to late February with beginning of March registration date for spring programming. So it's right around the corner. Happens really quick.
Crazy. How do we do with the winter ones?
So far, so good. We had a lot of our programming filled. We didn't have to cancel a lot, which is always a good sign that people are interested in what we're doing and we're on the right track. We are going to take a look at where we might have some deficits and see if we can fill them in. But right now, so far, so good.
Good.
That's great. You know my question. Spring's great, whatever. We even got it at the Civic Expo.
Sure did. We sure
So for summer planning, when do you think those brochures, or at least an outline, is going to be out for summer programming?
I think we might be able to do a similar timeline that we did last year, where we might release, like, these are the dates, mid to late March, with registration starting mid to late April. Our team is just now reaching out to our staff to find out who's returning, what directors we might have. We got some good positive news today about some of our directors, so we're excited. We had a couple directors who we thought weren't coming back who are coming back, so that's very exciting. But I think it'll be a very similar timeline as last year.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as programming, you mentioned that there are some gaps. What are those gaps, do you think?
A lot of things that we hear from the community surround programming in times where parents can participate with their children. So looking at potentially some preschool programming on weekend days where you might be able to go to Mommy and Me class or Parent and Me class, for a better way of saying it. Those kinds of activities where parents are integrated into the programming, or at least are able to see their kids doing things. So more night and or weekend time frame programming. I think that's our major deficit.
Yeah. And the program team does a great job of seeing where those categories are, the programs that we might have to cancel, and then others that fill and say, oh, we really need more in this demographic age range. So, they're on top of it, and yeah, it's always difficult to find those times for the parent and talk type classes. I think with people working from home now too, you can actually do a little more and, during the week too, when previously you might not be able to, as long as there's someone covering another child at home or what, they're in school or something. So, but weekends are always, a prime time for that.
I'm sure that you guys run into, I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
No.
You must run into, everyone wants the 9 o'clock Saturday morning and you only have so much space at the rec department to do, the kids, the toddlers and, whatever the event might be. They don't want to do it at 2 o'clock on a Saturday, right? So the teachers, so that's where
Indoor space is really tough for us, right?
Especially during the winter, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's,
Yeah, we are fortunate that we have a lot of outdoor space that we can kind of spread things out a little bit once spring and
Right,
summer hit,
right.
right? But this season especially is very, very difficult.
and everyone's home, and it's cold, and the parents, oh, well, let's get them into this event, and like, well, we're sold out, what do you mean? So that's gotta be hard, but it is what it is, but I'm sure that's a problem. I know when my kids were little, going to the rec department, goes out, I'm like, kicking me out of bed. You gotta take towels. I'm like, ah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, those are the times you gotta go. So,
Yeah. Yeah, Little Tyke Sports saves me.
Yes.
But it's funny you said that because I always, anytime somebody says, oh, I can't find a parent in me class on the weekends, I'm like, the rec has them. Because it was Little Tyke Sports. It was my saving grace. And it's funny because you meet people there who end up, 5, 6 years later, your child is actually in classes with them. So it's fun. Yeah, it is. Kelly, anything else? Okay. Okay, so I don't have anything to report. Subcommittees?
Nothing.
Okay, I don't have anything. Executive session, no.
Nope.
No,
Not at
okay.
this time.
All right, next meeting, I don't know if the two of us should pick a date at least, so we have something on the agenda? Or on the calendar?
February, February,
Be the 3rd, the 10th, right? The 17th, 17th is a
17th is the
holiday. So
holiday.
3rd, 10th, 24th.
There's a select board meeting on the 10th. I don't know if that matters at all.
No, we can meet at the same time.
Okay. I'm fine either way. Dave?
I'm good, February's, I'm good.
Work for you. You're here still,
Oh,
right? Yeah. Want to plan for the 10th?
10?
We can send out a email, see what availability of other 3 commissioners are.
So 2 weeks from today.
Yes.
Okay, all right, so we will plan on February 10th
Okay.
at 6 PM.
I mean, here as long as it's available,
Okay,
and I'll check that and let everyone know.
perfect, great. So you want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Sorry, I should second, aye. All right, we are adjourned.